All right, how is it going? I am Envy, the gamer, and I'm just doing a quick little video on what I personally believe the next chapter is going to be. So, for one, I think it will definitely be a licensed killer, for sure. The reason why I think this is because we haven't had a licensed killer in two chapters, and I know before that we had Ghostface and then Demogorgon. So, I understand why we had Oni and then Deathslinger. That makes sense. I'm not saying we should have had one by now, but I do think that we're due for one. So I don't think a licensed killer is out of the question. I do not think it will be Pinhead. A lot of people said Pinhead was on their mind for the next licensed killer. I think Matthew Cote talked about it a few times, but I don't think that's going to be the next killer. I'm not saying it's impossible for the future, but I really don't think that it's going to be the next killer just because they just did a chained killer. Now, maybe you might think that that would be a reason for them to do it, but I think it would be. I think he would not get a good response if it was another range chain attack we'd have to worry about. I just don't think he'd get a good and a good reputation. The first impression would be bad. I do think that they still won't do things like it or the thing, anything that morphs, because I just don't think it can be done. I don't think it fits into this game, unfortunately. I do think that killers like maybe Norman Bates or Jack Torrance from The Shining, I think either one of those guys, they could be great, but as of just like overall, eh, I don't know. There's not too many people who I could think of off the top, but I never thought they could do the Demogorgon. So obviously they got more things in mind than I could ever think of. I will say though, things that the killer does need is, for one, it needs two powers. I'm not saying two specific powers. I'm not going to give you two powers that it needs to have, but it needs to follow the two power trend that they set for a while. Like with Freddy having the teleport and the traps, Demogorgon having the lunge and the teleport portals. Ghostface has the stalk plus the the ghost silent, no heartbeat and shit. I'm just saying, Oni. Well, because Oni and the new killer, they both kind of have two parts to one. Oni, you have to hit to get the blood, then you go into your fury. I still count that as one power because his power is the ancient wrath or whatever the fuck it's called. And the gunslinger's kind of the same. He's just hit him, then you get value. But there's not there's not two separate powers, which I think they need because, like Ghostface, people thought that you used his stalk power and he wasn't that good. Then when you realize that, well, he has another power that you can play with, and that actually made him really good, that option I think should be available just so that we can play with them and figure out what's best for him. But they definitely need to at least have anti-loop, map pressure, or both, like Freddy, because gens are going crazy. People are getting better and better at loops every day, and Killer is pretty much just the equivalent of like a taking. God damn it, Killer is basically just a abusing mistakes that your opponents make simulator. So the better that they are, the worse you'll do, just because you're pretty much basing your performance off of theirs. And by map pressure, I don't necessarily mean a chainsaw or a sprint or a teleport. Just something of that sort. And it needs to not be a clone of another killer. I know it's hard. I understand. But they need to not be just a downrated version of another killer. That's the problem with Gunslinger, I think, is that he's just worse fucking Huntress. 100%. 110, ranged, all that. But worse. Okay, he needs to be high mid tier. I'm not saying we need a top 3 killer, but we need a top 7, I'd say. And that's all. I don't have a lot to rattle on about. I just wanted to say those couple things. I appreciate y'all listening to me. Thank you very much.